Right there, that big crescendo that we love so much. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the American Car Classics radio program. You know how I know? Because there's a logo on this hood right behind me. I'm Kenny Schofield.
Andrew Coulombe. Happy to be here. Talking about stuff, cars. We've got car shows. We've got racing that happened.
Yeah, I went to a race. I went to a race since the last time we had a show. I brought my mom. De-virginized her at 91 years old.
That's a really weird way to put it.
Can I say that?
Yeah, you should never say that again.
No, especially your mom.
That clip will be cut down and I'll be in trouble. My sisters will be watching. I'm in trouble. All right.
So,
hi, Andrew.
So
hi.
You did what with your mother now?
I'm real tired. I have worked so hard. I took my mom to a NASCAR race. It used to be the Pepsi 400. Now it's the Coke Zero
Sugar-free
okay. 400. It was awesome. But Mom's never been to a NASCAR race, so we live about, I don't know, an hour south of Daytona. And I've been to so many Daytona races. And I said, what the hell? So we went on a Saturday night and had a great time. She found out how loud it was.
Did she get to walk on the track? See how steep it was?
No, it's 32 degrees of banking. She can't walk on that. Even the trial is 18 degrees. She can't walk that. So, no, we ducked out a little bit early, right before that big crash on the backstretch. I don't remember who it was from because I'm so tired. Bryce,
happens.
you got anything who it was from? You could talk about anything, Bryce?
I could talk about Formula One.
No, but I'm talking about the Daytona race.
There were cars involved?
Anyway, yeah, it was a big, wild melee. Bryce could find video and put it in here while I was talking about it, but we left and we were going to get on the tram to go to the car in the backstretch, and we saw the smoke and heard and everything, got in and found it on Sirius XM, and they were saying that he had rolled multiple times. And
I did see that.
His car was destroyed. It flipped the way it flipped. It defied gravity. It almost looked like it just really was airborne, and
it was spinning like a
gyro,
like a figure skater.
Right. It was
midair.
It pirouetted.
Yeah.
It rolled and then it nosed up and then it rolled back down again and landed on its wheels, which you couldn't tell at the time of the accident. But to see the camera view from the head on, it was really just crazy, because the redesign of these cars, this whole new Gen 3, the whole carbon fiber with the lift panels on the top, hood, roof, back deck, and then the whole panel below the car on the bottom, it's really made to just keep the car on the ground. And this thing went sideways and hit the grass. And I swear to God, it almost picked up speed when it hit the grass.
Yeah, I noticed an article or two where a couple of drivers were saying they need to get rid of the grass, but I know at Daytona they need every bit of help they can get for drainage when it rains.
Absolutely. And you could put in a metal grate, but what's that metal grate going to do when it's wet or something else? And if there's a metal grate and something sets down and then you bleed off, I don't know what would happen then. So grass, they got rid of the backstands at Daytona, the backstretch grandstands, and that was a shame, because watching the race from back then was always cool. I don't really like it on the infield because you're turning around a lot. Better being at Daytona's infield than like Richmond's, where you would just be dizzy from spinning around a half mile for 400 laps. But,
or at the Brickyard, where you can only see like the track that's right in front of you, because they've got so many grandstands that you can't see most of the track. Yeah, we sat in ADA seating, and we had very front row seats, second tier up, maybe a third deck, and it was really great. We were right at the end of pit road. So when the cars came by the first time off of pit road, she said, "Oh, that's not too bad." TV doesn't do it justice, but that's not too loud. But they were doing 60 miles an hour, one at a time. Oh. And then the pace car picked them up, and then it was two pace cars, and it did it 2 of 20. And then they hit the green flag and came around the first time prior to about $1.25 or 30, and then the next time they were 1
65 or 70, and then they were 185 or 90. And I looked at her, and she's like, holy crap. Yeah.
So did she have the ear protection she needed?
She did not. Kenny failed to bring the headphones or earphones or anything else. And so a porter saw her, an usher, and he went and got some for her and says, I'm not supposed to give these away, but she looks like she really could use them. Yeah. So we stuffed those in her ear holes, and she was better for a little bit. Sometimes I would put my hands over her ears when they'd go by. Sometimes she would just do it. And after about 105 laps or something, I said, hey, let's duck out of here and go get some ice cream. So,
did you go to Buc-ee's?
No, I've never been to Buc-ee's, man.
Oh, my God.
No, I had somebody ask me if I go to Popeyes the other day. Have I ever been to Popeyes? I said, yeah. I think it was Lisa from O'Reilly's. I told her I've never been to Taco Bell. I've never eaten at Taco Bell. And real quick, shout out to O'Reilly's. We love O'Reilly's. We appreciate them so much. Lisa over at the Sebastian store. She's the manager, and Pete is our counter guy. First call. They're both beautiful people. So big shout out to O'Reilly's.
We should start bringing in one of these food items that you haven't had so you can try it for the first time on camera.
Yeah, I don't know how that would go.
So where will it end with the, I mean, the cars now are so much safer than they were 50 years ago when all kinds of guys were dying. And now it seems a little strange that it's like, do these guys think that it's ever going to be completely safe to go 200 miles an hour, with 6 inches apart?
If it is, then it's not good racing.
Right, because you could put them in a virtual cockpit and they could drive not digital cars around. They could drive real cars that are being wirelessly controlled, and they won't have any fear. They'll be bumping and grinding into each other as much as possible. But
the engineers would love that.
I'm not a fan of, and I've said this on a previous show, I know I have because the brain cell that was still surviving clicked in there for a second. But, they can make the cars too programmed, and it takes away the spirit of racing. F1, we talked about this. You can change the car so much inside the cockpit. A NASCAR driver doesn't do shit except hit the gas or brake a shift. It's all he's allowed to do. Turn the wheel.
And you were saying the shifting's even going away soon, right?
Well, they're talking about now going to automatics.
So is it still to create better engines and better performance and technologies that will then trickle down to the rest of the market? Or is it just its own sport right now?
Because its own sport.
Then take away all the extra stuff again and make them only go 50 miles an hour on little go-karts and see what happens to these professional racers.
Yeah, 30 years ago, they were getting 800 horsepower out of a 355 cubic inch Chevrolet. Now they're getting 1,000 horsepower out of that 355 cubic inch Chevrolet. Yeah. That is all technology. I mean, the block is still the same. It's still the same motor. It's just technology. And I remember Robert Yates racing. They were big developers in the Ford cylinder heads back in the mid-'80s. Henry Melling sponsorship, Bill Elliott's car and stuff like that. And, man, they can make their cars do something crazy with Davey Allison and all that stuff. And then everybody else caught on. But now the cars all fit the same template. One may say Ford, Chevy, Dodge, whatever it is, Toyota, but they're all exactly the same. The grill openings are a little bit different. That's about it.
Yep.
I mean, I guess that's just supposed to show off the differences in the drivers.
But you're not, these guys, man, they used to trailer in their car. Someone would drive their damn car to the race. Can you imagine driving and just pulling in and pull out your trunk and pull your fork tires out to go race? And man, those were the real days. And that's what we all fell in love with.
So like drifting right now.
Love drifting. What an art, man.
It's people driving their own race cars.
Yeah.
They're out there destroying them, essentially.
Tires and just the beating on a car, huh?
Right. And then running into each other on purpose because it's cool and that's the buddy thing to do, is to just door tap somebody.
Okay, well, I really thought it was to go within just inches. I think the ultimate is if you can miss somebody. If you're synchronized like an ice skater, if you could do that in a car, man, that's talent. Yeah. Walk around with a stick.
Because I've seen where they reach outside and then tap the door to encourage the other one to do it. And then they can brag about, my friend did this on this day at this race. It's like a badge of honor. Like they won't get rid of it. It's there forever until the car's obliterated.
Speaking of tapping, with all the, what do they call it, bumping in NASCAR? They
call it rubbing.
Rubbing is
racing.
When you're hitting the guy in front of you.
crash.
Is that a teamwork thing, or what is the purpose of it?
Right. So you're not supposed to bump draft is what that's called. And if you do it in a corner, you're going to wreck somebody, and it's kind of illegal now. But bump draft, you get that run. You've got clean air behind somebody else if you're within 12 feet of them. If you're within 5 feet, you can actually let off the gas and still suck up to them. So you save a ton of gas doing that, but your car overheats because you don't have any airflow.
Right.
But if you are now in that pocket of air where you can accelerate and hit them or decelerate and save gas, then you can hit them and push them forward, and they get what you call a run into the corner. And if you get off him in time, and he can get that run to where he's not being messed up by anything, or to where you're being, now as you let off, then you get that dirty air, your car gets disturbed. And I remember a view one time out of First Union. It was a green car. It was driven by, I think, Brett Bodine, and he was racing. And Dale Earnhardt went up by the Folgers car, I think, and they just showed the cars move sideways, like 8-10 feet sideways, but they weren't out of control. The driver wasn't doing anything nuts. It just would move that much. They say, and I said this before too, they say that NASCAR tires are half as wide as on F1. The cars weigh twice as much as F1, and the downforce is almost zero when it comes to NASCAR. If a NASCAR went by and you could push it, you could break it loose. As we're in F1, man, they go in the corners at 200 plus miles an hour and stick.
Well, they can't slow down because then they'll lose traction because they don't have the downforce. They got to keep the speed up.
To keep the downforce on, right. But what balls to go into a corner at 200 plus miles an hour, hoping that your wing is just hooked right. I mean, I don't know. That's just a lot.
What'd you call it? That sucking feature?
Bump drafting?
Bump drafting. Yeah. I've done that on a semi in a moped.
Okay, so
and I didn't know it was happening.
You got it behind him.
I had no gas on it, and it's like,
coming in, right?
So I had to slam on the brakes, to get out of it because there was no gas involved, and now I'm speeding up uncontrollably.
Right. So NASCAR, they try to keep their foot on the gas all the time, and they will hit their brake just to create a little drag while still accelerating. What do they do in F1? Well, you don't get off the gas in F1. You have to get off some.
Yeah, you're not flat for the whole lap,
right?
No, you're not flat for the whole lap.
No, but you downshift, and downshifting helps keep gripping your tires on the road.
Yeah,
you're not overspinning them.
Engine braking a little bit helps with the balance going through the turns.
Yeah.
Jet boat racing too. When they're going around those corners, they need to be full throttle because if they let up, they don't have the scoop to pull in, keep them going, and be able to make the turn.
Now, are you talking about the ones like in the swamps where they do that? Yeah, that is some crazy stuff.
Yeah. I don't know what it's like to pull 3 Gs into a corner and you can't let up. You
and the
have
boat
to
sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd think that you'd almost topple out of the top of the boat.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. We're top heavy, so yeah. But F1, Bryce, we were talking before the show started. And I said, if we're going to talk about F1, we're just going to sum it up in one word, and that was Verstappen.
We're in that kind of a moment right now.
Really are.
We're in people are going to talk about this season of F1 for the next 50 years with what he's doing, and it's not a cakewalk. He's having to fight for it. In the race in the Netherlands, really weird rain patterns showed up, and most of the field went in and threw on their wet tires. Since he was out in front, he had to make a whole lap on slicks, and it was just downpouring. And I was watching. I was thinking, oh, this is the end. He's going to put it in the wall because he's on an incredibly wet track on slicks. But nope, he actually made a decent lap time, pulled it in, got it done. There's been a lot of contention. The Monza race, the Ferrari's home track. They looked pretty good. They qualified 1 and 3. Going into that race, but it's just nobody can compete with the total package of Red Bull. They're getting closer and closer, but they're talking about now the possibility of Red Bull winning every single race this season, which has never been done before. I think the closest in the past was like 15 out of 16 races.
Now you're saying Red Bull, not Verstappen, so you're talking about his teammate too, but a team has never won all of the races.
Correct.
Nor has a single driver, obviously, or else he'd be the team.
Correct. Yeah.
So, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's, it's, I would say the races are anything but boring still. You're having a lot of competition, especially in the midfield. Teams are jumping up. They're making huge progress with their upgrades, and they're jumping up 5-6 places in the order in a single week. So it's been an interesting year for sure. Even though, I mean, you kind of know who's going to win every time unless something happens to Max, and even still, Checo can just as easily win these races as Max.
Is he qualifying on the pole for all these races?
Not every time. So far, Lewis has beaten him once, and then, like I said, at Monza, I can't remember if it was Sainz or Leclerc got him in this last one, but it's just guys are coming close in qualifying with barely any gas in the car, and the tires don't have to last more than a couple of laps. But that's the big difference with the Red Bull that Adrian Newey designed, is it seems to be easy on the tires as well as fast as shit. So it's been really interesting to watch. I'm looking forward to another one this weekend.
Now, is there any kind of technology that the committee, whoever's in charge, can ban if they're doing too well?
So that came up, and Toto Wolff, who, he was principal of the previous dominant team, which was AMG and Lewis Hamilton driving. He came out against that idea. He said if they were to create some kind of rules to limit Red Bull specifically, he says now we're just the WWE. We're just crafting a storyline. Right. And he was fully against it. So
well, you don't want that.
No.
Look, I'm already upset with fuel injection in NASCAR. It's just the playing field is so level already. It lacks a lot of what used to be great.
Yeah. Again, my favorite thing about F1 is the innovation. The fact that you do have differences between the teams, that it's not spec racing and everybody's just on each other's.
Well, you said somebody had a design out that was just incredible, and he's already being copied.
Well, Adrian Newey is the designer. He's been at Red Bull a couple of years now, and he goes back a ways. I think his first ever F1 car design was successful, and I'm not remembering the team that was, but bit by bit, everybody's kind of picking apart the Red Bull design and managing to steal some of the design philosophy here and there. If you look at the AMG car from the beginning of the year, it had these tiny little side pods, and they totally gave up on that and radically changed the shape of the car. So, things are happening, and then Red Bull will leave these cheeky remarks in interviews saying they can't believe that nobody's copied their rear wing design yet, that it's such an easy.
But are they doing that just to throw people off?
Well, there's a lot of that, of course. There's a lot of that, but they're having fun with it, and they're getting faster too. They're upgrading their car as well. So if you don't upgrade in F1, you're just going to drop further and further back in that competition throughout the year. So
every week, NASCAR is not doing any kind of R&D during the season.
Right.
They're not.
Yes.
Because they're not allowed to? Or
you're not allowed. You just don't. Once the season starts, your rules are in place. I don't think that there's any new technology. Look, they're trying to cheat, and they're trying to come out with different whatever's cheat, but then they still get busted on that or whatever else.
But are you cheating if there's no rule against it?
Right. So if there's a gray area, then this is where, then an official says, hey, look, we don't know about this. We call somebody up in NASCAR. They come over. They go, hey, we're not going to allow that. We're not going to penalize you for it. But you kind of know that that's to be frowned. So don't, right.
I just don't like the idea. You're winning too much. We're going to make it harder. Or we're just going to remove this option altogether.
Yeah, nobody likes that. They did it a little bit in Le Mans this year. I can't even remember if we had an episode talking about Le Mans, but Toyota had been winning, for years. And right before Le Mans, they added, I can't remember how much weight for balance performance to the Toyota car. And as a result, Ferrari won with their brand new hypercar design. That class is really cool now. It's the cars don't look so much the same anymore. The manufacturers, there's a lot of manufacturers jumping in. I think Lamborghini's going to be in next year. And you've got the standardization between Europe and the United States. So all the American teams are out there racing in Le Mans against the European teams. It's a really, really cool era for sports car racing right now.
Yeah, I saw a video of Darrell Waltrip being passengered in a Australian supercar, right-hand steer. And, man, balls to the wall. It was incredible. I mean, they don't break like NASCAR as much. Those cars fly. So they're light, and you can throw them in the corner a lot faster than you can in NASCAR, not worry about it breaking loose. It whips you around. Pretty cool.
I like the idea of Toyota being in all these race car races, and then all their research and development just goes into longevity of their engines and not power.
Right.
Like, no, we don't care.
But that's great. That's because they're a business for the American people or for the world people, for world consumption. So they do their, what is it, Toyota? What's that say on the side of their trucks? What's it say on the side of their trucks? TRD.
Oh,
Toyota
turd racing.
Yeah, right. So I mean, they advertise it on their cars that this is all through race development. That they learn stuff on Sunday.
Yeah, to have a 180 horsepower Camry, it's great. It'll go for 500,000 miles, so I guess there's something to that.
And that's all you got to ask for, because they're not buying a race car; they're buying a car to take them on the world.
Although I'm sure you've noticed, and maybe this is going into a new segment, but I'm sure you've noticed that the reliability of the 90s and the Japanese cars hasn't really been met. It's gone down because they realize they're not selling any new cars,
right?
So they got to make stuff break again,
right?
And yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But planned obsolescence. I actually worked at a company. I won't say what it was, but it was designed that way. Product could not last more than 10 years in the field. And we had stuff that was lasting over 100 years. That's how long the company had been in business. Can't say any more than that. But it had to be designed to fail. And I wonder how much of that has moved over to the, well, I'm sure you see it. Warranty says 100,000 miles at 100.
We'll talk about that.
100,001 mile.
We could talk about that. No, because shit starts breaking. No, we could talk about that. Look, we're going to go to a break. Bryce is going to play us out. Greg Billings is going to play us out. But Bryce controls the buttons. So this is American Car Classics Radio. We'll be right back. So I don't start talking. When that thing starts scaling down, I start ramping up. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kenny, and this is Andrew, and we're the American Car Classics radio program. We just talk stuff about cars or whatever else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
Yeah.
I want to talk about transmissions, but I hear you've got some car shows coming up.
Well, I have a couple car shows coming up. Well, yeah, one of them we want to get Melissa on the phone for, and I'll try to do that for next week. I'm also going to try and talk to James Redmond and see if we can get him on and talk about the Chattanooga Motor Car Festival, which is coming up in October. It's going to be super awesome. I think it's like the 12th to the 15th. It has everything going on, man. And I'm going to go see the B-52s play. I'm going to go see Jelly Roll play. And I'm going to go hang out at the Meekum Auto Auction. And I'm going out to the racetrack in Chattanooga that is named after Jim Pace, a guy that became a friend of mine before he passed. He's a former F1 driver and stuff. And we're going to have a lot of fun. But Targa 66 is running out there. That's James and Brian Redmond's program. And that's a great little thing that we can learn a lot more about next week. So Melissa, I mentioned earlier, Melissa Dunn Weiss. She is the daughter of Henry Dana. And Henry's no longer with us, but he was a great car builder. He loved the 32 Fords and stuff down in Vero. And she's putting on a memorial show for him in October as well. So I'll try to get her on the phone next week for that. So I do know that this Sunday, as in like today is Wednesday, what is today, the 12th? 13th of September. Barefoot Bay has rescheduled their car show from earlier in the year, and it's going to be the Summer Car Show 2023. That is going to be September 17th. That's Sunday. I don't know if you're going to be around, Andrew, Sunday.
I'd like to be.
Yeah, it's very close.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's actually that way.
It is that way.
Yeah.
But don't tell people our private. This is a Bat Cave. They don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, this is going to be from 11 to 3. There's awards, food, music, raffles, and vendors, cars, trucks, and motorcycles.
Is it new and old or just classics?
Yeah. No, it's new and old. We don't really ever do anything that is just... there's Mopars of Brevard, and even their stuff isn't just Mopars, yet alone old or something. It's all, and there's so many people that love these new muscle cars that they absolutely get to come in. The biggest thing that we pick on at a car show when new stuff comes out is, does the Dodge have that yellow plastic on the bottom still, or did the guy take it off? Is he part of that? Is he part of that cult? I'm going to leave these factory protectors on my car.
So do you think a person that had one either removed automatically by the road or manually by one of the lube techs, do you think that they're keeping the other one on there just out of spite?
If they know TLC and Left Eye Lisa Lopez, then they might leave it on the left bottom corner for... No.
Are you talking about the
bumper guards?
The front
splitter guards, yeah.
That yellow color.
Yeah. They are supposed to be removed at the Dodge dealership.
That is from factory shipping. That is to protect the air, the lower valence while in transit.
Oh, weird. I always thought those looked kind of cool.
Okay, so
you're part of the problem.
Apparently.
Now, to be fair, a lot of guys love them because they do stick out and you do see them, but they're not held on by anything other than you just go take it off. So it's in a mall parking lot. You feel like being a jerk.
Right, but with people leave them on, they're rubbing away any paint that's underneath of it.
Yeah.
They are supposed to be removed. So as the thing's flapping in the breeze, it's going to leave those wear marks. So at that point, maybe that's why they're not taking them off.
All right. So I knew a guy that actually went and put a double stick tape on them and stuck them back on, and they're on there pretty damn permanently.
Okay. My last question with this, because we could probably keep going for a little while. A person that they were removed before picking up their vehicle and then bought them extra to put on versus a person who has kept them on from factory. Like they got it somehow on there. Do you view those two people as different?
No.
Okay.
They both want the same thing. And in fact, the son will wear those out or they get dirty and scuffed up. You can go buy new ones and put them right back on.
Can't you just throw on some yellow paint?
No. These are big and thick, and they
but I like that
idea. And like a rookie stripe, but on the front of your car. That's too much. Anyway, I'm gonna be at Barefoot Bay this Sunday. Come out, let me kiss your baby and sign your breast.
There will be some of that. Barefoot Bay, the pool is back open.
Is it really?
It is.
So you're getting paid again? Bryce is
Next question.
Bryce bartends at Barefoot Bay sometimes, and we've heard from Ed. We've heard from Ed that he does wear a Speedo at times when he's DJing out by the pool.
No, you're just.
So is this a kid-friendly show? Or
None of that was true. By the way,
if your kids listen and they like it, then okay.
I never DJ in Speedos.
No, because you start
only
twerking, and that's just too much, man. Yeah, you gotta have better support than that. So this is the part of the show where I don't know. I've got some tech talk and whatever.
Well, go ahead. Let me try and answer one.
And I could tell you real quick too that Chattanooga Motor Car Festival is something really serious to me. I really love it. I go every year. This will be the 4th year. We did have a year that it didn't happen because the governor asked him not to because of COVID. And it's a super, super fun time. So I'm going to have a lot of video and reports and pictures from that coming up in mid-October. I take my 70 Nova that now has 32,000 miles on it. I bought it with 24,000 miles, and it came with a 6-cylinder Power Glide transmission, 14-inch wheels, and I immediately took that stuff off. And no, I didn't. In fact, I put I took a split header and put it on the 6-cylinder, ran it out the sides, and annoyed people with a no muffler having 6-cylinder for about 6 months. Mike Carano, he'll testify to that.
Do you still have the engine?
I do. I saved the motor. I had a guy named Lou that came by and he wants to buy it. $600. I won't sell a Power Glide because it's always good to have a 2-speed Power Glide around.
I'm starting to get a little iffy about V8s. Not iffy as in I don't trust them or anything like that. But I mean, if you have an original Nova and has an original inline 6 in it, that is so rare compared to everything else. Like I don't think I would typically find something without a motor than something with a 6-cylinder in it.
Ray Evernham and Wayne Carini both chastised me. I mean, Ray Evernham actually got like, you know, a little bit agitated, and he's come over to our tent at the 24 Hours of Daytona before and bringing his moonshine, and we've partied in it, and he was like, it'll never go back in. Why save it? And I was like, no, I've still got the rims. I've still got everything. Originally, he's like, it'll never go back in. It'll never be the same. And I'm like, no, but I could do. You could have made it up here and that. I was like, but I wanted to go fast. He goes, yeah, I would have made it up here just fine. Yeah, I was beaten down by Ray Evernham on my engine change. And now I've got a new motor, GM crate motor, 365 horsepower, 385 foot-pounds of torque, I think it is. And it's ready to go in. I've got a 700 R4 to replace the 350 turbo trans.
Oh.
Yep.
It's a surprising choice to go with.
Well, it gives you that fourth gear.
Yeah.
So it keeps the RPMs down a little bit, gives a little better gas.
You didn't want like a turbo 400?
No, I would never want a turbo 400. Because I'm not a drag racer. And I don't plan on going. I love to race. Man, I love to race. And if I'm losing in the race, just food for thought. If I ever see you on the street and you go to race me and you beat me, I will absolutely pit maneuver you in a second. Okay, just that's how I.
But for legal reasons, that's a total joke.
He's not being serious in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I am absolutely being serious.
Stop it.
How about this? Would it be possible to throw in LS in there?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a 40 over
afternoon.
A 40 LT1, 40 over LT1 with aluminum heads. The aluminum heads are sitting right here. And so I've got that and thought about doing that. But I'm going to put that in the Monty with twin turbos. And Steve Charbonneau hates the LT1, and you do too, the tune port.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. But it's just because it's not for me. It doesn't mean it's bad in any way.
That's right.
So why wouldn't you take a 4L60?
Right.
Because it can easily take 300, 400 horsepower before anything really bad happens.
Yeah.
Comfortable cruising.
Yeah.
Cheap. I mean, I see them for like, well, now times have changed, but
they have changed.
They were $100 all day before.
Right. So the 700 R4 was recently rebuilt. I traded a Dodge Dakota pickup truck for an 86 C10 with a 350 that had an oil pump issue, but the transmission was brand new. So that's why I'm putting it in.
Okay.
I do have a 4L60 and a 4L80, but they both need to be rebuilt. They both came out of four-wheel drives, so I have to change the tail housing over.
Yeah.
And that's why. But I'll put a 4L80E behind the LT1 with twin turbos in the Monty. And here again, you have to go ahead and those trains are a lot bigger. So now I might have to change some tunnel hoop stuff.
Yeah, no, you're
especially if I'm going to set the motor back a little bit.
I mean, 10-pound sledge.
Right. So the Monte Carlo, what I love about the 70 Monte Carlo is that they've got enough room to put half your neighborhood in.
You mean in the engine bay?
Yeah, in the engine bay.
Yeah, it's a shame that the V12 LS that is manufactured in Australia isn't really common over here. It'd be wonderful. Yeah. Now, if you want to piss off a lot of people, why don't you
imagine opening the hood and seeing a V12 LS?
Or the four-cylinder that they make from the leftovers of that V12. The same company makes both. It's a 300 horsepower four-cylinder LS. So all the parts are the same. So you need to go buy spark plugs, anything like that. It's all the same. And that's like amazing.
But you got a badass car. You pop the hood and there's a four-cylinder. Everybody's
it's different. No. So, I fall into the line of LS Swap the World because it's easy. It makes good power. It's reliable. It's cheap. It was.
Yeah.
Some of those boxes are changing now. But at some point, you want to be different. You want to be the only guy that has something.
And you said that there's a car that you like that is actually coming around off the curve and maybe become a little bit more, you could buy an affordable driver.
Me. What is it? I want to know.
You told me it was a Dodge product.
Okay.
All right, stop right there. Hey, this is American Car Classics. We're going to take a quick break. Bryce is going to play us out. That was a teaser. We're going to talk to him more about it when we come right back.
Nothing you can do. I'm coming to get you.
right here. Yeah, you can keep playing that stuff, man. I just love it. When I get to go over to St. Pete and I see Greg, I don't know if everybody understands what's going on, but 40 years of rock and roll, and I've been sitting right there, and his hair's changed, and he wears glasses now like I do, and it's all different. But, man, if either one of you or anybody, you go to the St. Pete area, look up Greg Billings. Get on Facebook, look him up. Incredible artist. Incredible. That's all I can say. So, I was going to jump into that segue that we spun everybody off on. That before the show we were talking, and you have a car that you kind of love. You have a lot of them that you kind of. You're very.
I have a lot of affairs.
Yes.
With different brands, makes, models, things like that.
Right.
But I have a top 3. We'll do them one day. But up there, I don't know if it's number 1, but it's really high up there. It's the Roadrunner, of course, and in specific, the B-body. I like the 68 through 70.
Yeah, there's something about the bumper change or something that...
Yep. So I just want, because it's cool, the year, I want a 69, but I want a 70 front end because I think it's the best one they ever did.
But why the 69? Is it the back end that's good?
No, it's the move, the bedroom move. That's all. The 69. Don't look it up, kids. Anyway, so yeah.
Wow. I didn't see that coming.
I did not see that at all.
Andrew with his dry humor.
So he would go to all the trouble, Bryce, of putting a 70 front end on a 69 Roadrunner just because the 69, when he said he could go, yeah, it's a 69.
That's it.
It's like if your name is Monty and you buy a Monte Carlo every year because your name is Monty.
I've never thought of that.
That's not my joke. That's from a movie called Queen's Logic, which is awesome.
Every time Aldo Nova comes on, Life is Just a Fantasy, do you go and get your Nova and drive around?
Next question.
All right, question. I do have some tech talk that has come in, and we do appreciate that.
Wait, just in case anyone was asking, would I put a 4-cylinder in a Roadrunner? No.
Nobody's asking this. No. You are... You love to do crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. The norm is not you.
It's just boring. Anyone can do that. Why not be different?
Yeah. What would you do if you went to a car show and you're judging a car show, Andrew, and you go and the guy has modified it with some crazy 4-cylinder? I mean, you're going to have other guys at the show chase you down and slash your tires because you voted that guy was cool.
Yeah, but why can't he have his own competition? And I'm not saying everybody wins a trophy. It's not what I'm going for. What I'm trying to say is for unique. Who's going to have the cojones to do something like that?
Well, now, Mazda did a couple years back, again, bringing up sports car racing in IMSA. They were beating V8 cars in a 4-cylinder engine powered Mazda prototype.
Yeah.
Indy Honda cars. Hondas are badass in Indy, man. They're
4-cylinder Hondas can make 1,000 horsepower pretty easily at this point. Like, the whole cheat sheet for what parts you need is all out there now, so anyone can do it that can turn a wrench. But it won't last forever, but it's still very impressive.
Yeah.
But like an LS will make that power too, but with 4 times the displacement.
But do you take... Now, if I went to a car show, classic car show, and I opened the hood of a car and he had 2 4-cylinders in there, now that would be cool.
Yeah, chain driving together.
If it came with a 4 or 6-cylinder and you put an 8-cylinder in it, that's dope. If it came with an 8-cylinder, you could put a 12 or a 10 in there. That's dope. You come with an 8-cylinder, you put a 4-cylinder in it, that's not dope. My opinion.
What were you just talking about during the break, Andrew? A
12-cylinder LS.
Cylinder LS.
And I don't always want to come back to the LSs. It's just what I see that's common. Because I like rotaries too. I've owned a bunch. I've had a Toyota Corolla wagon that was 12A swapped, no turbo. I've never had a turbo rotary yet, and I hear that's the bee's knees, as they say.
Okay.
But I've driven a bunch of different rotaries. I love them. I think they're amazing. I think it's hilarious that at 1.3 liters it gets 15 miles per gallon, but it will also make 500 horsepower and 0 torque because of how they work.
Isn't that ridiculous?
But they're a bit loud. That's the only thing I'm not really a fan of. But I like that it's compact. I like that I've been able to pick up my own motor out of the bay and set it on a table next to me because it's only 160 pounds, 130 pounds.
I just bought some new toolbox stuff. That's my side cabinet's way more than that.
Yeah. That's the old joke. My lug nuts take more torque than your Honda makes and all that stuff. Like, yeah, that's true. Still, with a lot of them. Oh, man, we just beat somebody. Just for comedic reasons, this never happened. But driving in my wife's Honda Pilot, there was a 07, 08 Honda Civic SI, definitely not in the Palm Bay area, that just kept everywhere. So I got up next to him and just hit it, and I heard him, because it was an automatic, he revved all the way up, and yeah, we just left him behind us. And then he pulled up eventually, and I'm like, like, yeah, my Pilot is faster than your fast car. Stop. Nobody cares.
Right. I race people in my Hyundai. I beat everybody off the line. I am always first.
Yeah.
Always. You can catch me easily. But here again, if you catch
tree them,
if you catch me, I'll tree everybody. But then if you pass me, I'm just saying that there's a rumor out there that I've watched a lot of cops shows. All right. This is our final segment, right, Bryce?
Yes, I believe so.
A little tech talk. This comes in through our cell phone most of the time, 772-584-1048. And that is the American Car Classics Radio hotline. Do it.
Ka-chow.
You can also write to us on our email, which is americancarclassics@yahoo.com.
Also, check out the Facebook. You can go on there and you can spill some knowledge, maybe help some other people out who's got questions, or post some funny memes. I see that a lot on there.
Yeah, I love that too. Always like us and spread something. That's how we get famous. So, Tech Talk. Hello, everyone. Thanks for reading my question. How did you know I was going to do that? Who is this? This is Paul. Paul, how'd you know? He's in my head.
In your head.
I knew he was going to go there. All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for reading my question. I would like to know what you guys think about electric water pumps versus direct drive water pumps. Thanks, Paul. He's from Oregon.
I have an answer.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of the electric ones.
Okay.
I've watched one fail 3 times new from manufacturer. And if it really mattered on an engine on a race day, not possible. I'd never do it again.
Okay.
I used to think that having a couple extra batteries was worth it to drive all the extra electronics for all the new modern technology, because you're not going to be spinning this one drive, but now you got to carry around 1,200 more pounds in battery. It's not really that much.
Well, that's an exaggeration on,
Yeah.
Right.
But it can fail just like anything else.
Absolutely.
The application that we used it in was in a Fiero. So we had to run the water lines all the way up front and then all the way back. And it didn't like that setup very much.
And let me, just because you're Andrew Colomb, let me ask you, what went in that Fiero?
It wasn't mine. It was Leon's from Leon's Garage Adventures. There's a whole build series on it. And it was a 6.2 liter LS turbo this big. I hope that size reference is there. I don't know the actual one.
Your head looks small, so I think that's a pretty big turbo.
Yeah, it was massive.
An 88 bigger?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, okay.
It was pretty huge. And so for number references, when it was dynoed, it made 606 wheel horsepower with no turbo because it blew up the intercooler doing the pull. So it made that naturally aspirated without the turbo.
So with the turbo, you would expect 800, maybe.
Plus, I would say well over 1,000.
Really?
Yeah. The 6.2 was built to be able to hold it.
A single turbo is going to double your horsepower, maybe.
Yeah. Wow. Anyway.
Yeah.
What do you think about electric water pumps?
I'm old school, man.
Mechanical drive.
Yeah, if it's got a belt, use it. I'm wearing a belt right now.
Me too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, belt drive. Hey guys, good afternoon to you all. He says, my car sounds and looks pretty good. She is a 71 Dodge Duster, but he doesn't give me her name. I like to know cars' names. He said this Duster is powered by a 318 5.2 liter engine. He can do the conversion math. That's pretty good. It has a 727 automatic transmission. He said, as I said, my car sounds good, but... Dun, 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 dun. He says that it doesn't seem to have a lot of power. He said, I know I can get a camshaft, and that would do a lot. He said, how much difference do aluminum heads make? He said, because they aren't cheap, but they sure do look good. This is from Woody Frakes. He doesn't say where he's from.
So where's the choke point in a 318?
I don't know.
Because any engine just wants to breathe better. The heads aren't going to make it any worse. It might make his fuel economy worse, but
is he going to get a lot of horsepower out of aluminum heads? No, you're going to gain a lighter car. You're going to gain a car that cools better. Therefore, if it's cooler, then it atomizes better, and so you maybe get some better performance gains there. But if your valves aren't bigger, and if they don't stay open longer, then you ain't getting any more, because an engine's an air pump. And you can dump as much fuel into it as it can handle, much air as it can handle, and there go turbos and superchargers and stuff, and that's when you get really...
He doesn't mention it, but if he's putting too much fuel in, which seems to be a very common problem, he's actually losing horsepower.
Very common, isn't it?
Lean is mean. It's also a lot more damaging.
It is a lot more damaging.
Fat and happy is where you want to be, but...
If you use a car with nitrous, you want that car to run rich.
Yeah. Less chance of blowing stuff up.
A lot less. And unless you like tearing the head off and pulling your rods out and doing pistons all the time, nitrous cars need to run rich.
Yeah.
All right. We're at 11:54. We're going to call it. I'm going to save these other ones for another day. What do you think, man? You want to get out of here and go do something?
Maybe. What are you thinking?
I'm hungry.
Pit maneuver.
Yeah. Hey, we appreciate y'all joining us, tuning in. Say hello to somebody for us. Shout out. You know. I'll see you next week, bro.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Bryce.
Don't you dare take it on.